G'day everybody, it's Dave from Wing Chun Mind Force. How you going? It's lovely Friday, nice and cool, unbelievably cool for November in Australia, especially up here in the north. My bit of a bus talk today is about how a real fighter views fighting. I'm very old school, as you would have picked up. I believe that the Kung Fu Master is somebody we aspire to being, and that Kung Fu Master is a gentle person with incredible skills, the ability to fight very, very well, but somebody who prefers peace, and somebody who tries to promote peace, and somebody who goes out of their way to avoid a fight. Now, there's a very strong modern culture with things like the UFC and the MMA and the love of boxing matches and this sort of thing, where people see martial artists as thugs, basically, just really skillful, powerful thugs. They delight in watching people get into a ring and beat the hell out of each other, choke each other off, break bits and pieces, especially when I see the ladies in the ring beating the crap out of their pretty heads. It sort of gives me the creeps, to tell the truth. Not that those actual warriors, I admire them in a way. It's got a set of rules. They both know what they're doing. They go in. What I don't like is that mentality that the watchers have. Maybe this comes from when I was a kid, because I grew up in the 60s and 70s at school, and times were rough here in Australia, and kids were barbarians, and I was involved in a lot of fights, none of my own causing, but the bullies would just come at me and my friends, and I'd be forced to fight. But funny thing is, I had more respect for the bullies who were beating me, and I was beating them back, than I had for all the jackals that would gather, sometimes hundreds of them, baying for blood. Fight, 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 fight. They'd all be yelling, even the girls would come running. So excited to see two other people hurting each other badly for their bloody entertainment. And the same gutless people, I always remember these guys calling me gutless after I'd left school. They said, "I remember you, Lovegrove, yeah, you're a dingo, you've got a yellow streak," and they're trying to get me to fight them. And later I was thinking, I don't remember being a coward or having a yellow streak. And then I remember this big fight I was involved in. It was hundreds of kids, so undoubtedly these turkeys were part of that crowd. And they must have seen the end of the fight when me and the guy had just beaten each other black and blue. I remember my face felt like the car had run over it. And I said to the other guy, "You don't want to fight anymore?" And he goes, "No, do you?" I said, "No, I'm getting out of here." And we walked off, and as I was walking off, the crowd was baying for my blood. You know, get him, beat him up, calling for somebody else to get in and beat me. And I just kept walking, and I remember this kid punching me in the ribs as I was walking away. I thought, stuff you. I've had enough punishment for nothing. I didn't start the bloody fight. Anyway, so these guys would have been those guys who, in their stupidity, thought I was a coward because I was leaving the fight. But, you know, the thing is, I'd just like to put it to you, my good friends, that a real martial artist doesn't delight in violence. A real martial artist, a real Kung Fu master, a Kung Fu student, whatever level you're at, doesn't think it's cool to beat people up. Doesn't think it's really heroic to especially keep hitting people once they're down. Ground and pound, this sort of thing. To me, it's just gutless. I detest it. I detest ground and pound. Such bullshit. But I've had a lot of real world fights, a lot. You know, after I left school, I moved with a pretty wild group of surfies, and we used to get into fights with other groups and with, you know, guys with their hotted up cars and whatever. And then I worked as a policeman for a number of years, so I did see a fair bit of pretty serious violence, and it's not cool. And afterwards, when people settle down, they lose their anger, they really regret what they did, especially if they've been really hurt. But often the person who's hurt somebody else sort of comes to, their humanity comes back, and they think, God, what have I done? What has my anger achieved here? You know, it's not heroic, it's not cool. So I just sort of say to you, as a fellow martial artist, assess why we do martial arts. So I've only ever been interested in protecting others, of course protecting myself, but I don't really, I'm a big, confident, fairly, you know, warrior-like looking guy, I think, and people don't usually have a go. But I'm here to protect others who don't have the same sort of calling as I do, which is to protect people. And, you know, you got the spiritual side of it, which, you know, a lot of people who believe in fighting as just this cool orgy of hurting people, they just don't get it. It's like, what? Why would you do that? You know, why would you care about spiritual things? But in the old Eastern way, if you look into it, whether we're talking Japan, China, so many other old cultures, they believe that anything can be a spiritual path, and that martial arts, it sort of gets to the heart of what it is to be human, because fear is such a real thing, and a lot of human behaviour is driven by fear. And I'll tell you the truth, a lot of the savagery, a lot of the cruelty that goes on in fights is because of fear. And it's actually the ones who are chicken, the ones who are really fearful, the scared ones, the scaredy cats, they're usually the most vicious. They're the ones that'll keep kicking you when you're on the ground. They're the ones who'll pull a knife on an unarmed person. They're not heroes. It's their fear that makes them savage. And when you get societies where, you know, it's 10 onto 1, this sort of thing, that's a huge breakdown in manliness, a huge breakdown in courage, a huge breakdown in honour. It's horrible. It's not a good thing. And for whatever people might say about the patriarchy or toxic masculinity or these sort of ideas, the old way of the real man was to hold your temper, hold your hand, hold your strength, not hurt people, be a protector. That's the old way. It's not about bullying women, especially, or kids or other people. That's not manly, that's not honourable, that's not heroic, that's chicken shit. It's not the old way. So I'll leave it at that. Hope you enjoy this video. Please comment below, tell me what you think, please subscribe, and I'll see you again.